We'd love to hear every single juicy detail if you've got it for us.
This is my last convention for the year. Thankfully, after this, I am done until next year's cruise, actually.
But LA Comic
But
Con.
no, skipping most of the everything until end of February. So yeah, it's exciting to kind of finish off on another Trek note, so to speak. Even though I have to admit that given today's news, it's a somewhat bittersweet thing to be talking about everything that we had at this destination. So all in all, I have to say, I always find a way to have fun at the convention. So whatever little things that occur. No convention is perfect. Whatever that you have to mitigate, you do as best as you can. Overall, I have enjoyed myself very much, and that was primarily to basically, I want to say two things. First was the fans. Lots of my
Yes.
friends from across the Atlantic that I haven't seen. I know them through Vegas primarily, so I haven't seen them in at least 2 years. Some 2, 3, 4 years even. And then of course the guests. Kudos to the what little we got of the Voyager cast. Kudos to the Discovery cast. Everybody was just outstanding. That was probably the biggest, wonderful panels, both in the main theater, those actually paid talks, and of course there were a whole bunch of free talks in secondary theaters. Tremendous just to kind of wonder about it and kind of, it's I wouldn't call it the same immersive effect that, for example, Star Trek Las Vegas has, but still, it's a Star Trek convention, and you do get to hang out and do the photo ops and the autographs, the usual things that we do at conventions. It was exciting that they did add the Prodigy premiere, sort of, on the heels of New York Comic Con. You would get another convention that actually had it as an actual event. As a matter of fact, the so many people wanted to see it, they ran out of space for the first showing, so they
Wow.
arranged with CBS/Paramount to have a second one. So you had twice the crowd to actually see it.
All right, hang on,
Interesting.
Marina, real quick. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you this because sometimes they give you an extra little secret bonus. Did they show you a second episode?
Uh,
Or,
well, well, here's the thing. Technically, it would be the third episode because
right.
the premiere is actually two episodes strung together. It's 45 minutes long, roughly. So technically, it's first and second episode. And that's what they did. That's what they showed. So
Okay.
there was I think some people would love to know what's going on further and would have liked to see because the reception was very enthusiastic, I would say. But having said that, it was. Do pardon me, it was muted in the British sort of way. And what I'm trying to say is that people were watching, there was never the same kind of reaction that we had at New York Comic Con. Because New York Comic Con, there's a moment when, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's a moment where you can see the ship breaking through that waterfall and people just
Mm.
went, wow, because it looked great. And then, of course, when you see Janeway in, amazing applause and everything. Here, it was just quiet. Everybody was so intent watching, and then when the
Oh,
end credits rolled in, that's when you got
They're
wonderful,
so
enthusiastic
polite.
applause. Yes, it was interesting. That was one of the reasons why I'm like, I want to go. Not so much because I already saw it 3 times, but simply because I just want to see the reaction of everybody else. Plus, it's always fun to
Mm.
watch Star Trek when you have other fans
Yeah.
around you, and you kind of there's a whole different vibe and atmosphere, while looking at that. Um, as far as anything that would be sort of like really stand out, I have to say, like in terms of programming, we got some marvelous panels from Kate Mulgrew. She actually did several of them during the weekend. Same usual, grace and incredible wisdom. So those were highly enjoyable. Folks like John Billingsley, you kind of come to expect
He's
that it's
nuts, right?
always going to be
He's
turned
so
up to 11. And he was amazing. He did a tremendous fun thing with Max Grodachik. They had their own little,
yes.
sort of like comedy in Star Trek, if you will, because they're both very I almost wish that Ethan Phillips was there because that would have been
Oh
like
yeah.
an
Yes.
unbeatable trio, if you will.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh. Yeah.
then you had some panels which, it's a little bit funny to think about it because it became a sort of unusual combination, primarily because as a product of pandemic, if you will, we never got, unfortunately, the Voyager cast reunion. So their Voyager cast panel was actually Kate and Garrett, the two main characters, two main actors who were actually there. Plus, you also got folks who did play like Alice Krieger. She's the Borg Queen. She was Borg Queen just in the end game, but still, that's a pretty major part of Voyager. The whole thing with the Borg. They did get Martha Hackett, who's a tremendous villain from the early episodes, early seasons. And then, of course, there was a somewhat unusual one, and that was just a single cameo role in his part, Tng McCune, who played Janeway's holographic lover. So they started the panel with, Kate came up and she's like, isn't that the most remarkable thing that we have here? You have the main nemesis, the traitor, the holographic lover, and the ensign. That's unusual thing. But that was a fun panel. And then something similar for TNG was called the TNG Memories, and really we only had Marina Sirtis. Everybody else was, those who would like. They had Elizabeth Dennedy was a guest. She played Commander Shelby in Best of Both Worlds. They had Mark Rolston, who literally had, I think, one appearance in TNG, and I can't tell you on top of my head the name of the episode. So it was sort of like this. You have the combination of the main cast actors and people who did just a cameo or recurring role somewhere. Also, wonderful thing was. Great to see folks from Voyager documentary. David Zappone was there. Ladida Fadja was there. Joe Corbett was there. Of course, Garrett participated because he's part of the whole production. And I know that they did a wonderful get together at, I believe the name of the pub is the Fox, sort of a little thing. So it was like, the whole weekend was made up of this wonderful little moments. And again, I can list, all the pros and cons of everything that was going on, but I do prefer thinking about just how much fun I actually had with my friends. Did manage to bump into 20 or 30 people. That was like, guys, haven't seen you since like.
You have any shout outs to give?
Let's see. Daiki Hoffman. She's wonderful. She's a fan from Germany. So she was kind of like, we shared both the experience of coming to UK, which let me tell you, things have changed a little bit. It's not just showing up with your passport. You have to do a whole lot of other things because of COVID. My friend Fiona Burt, who's actually a kick-ass Janeway. Mind you, the cosplay was really, really outstanding. You will not believe how many Janeways, obviously Kate was there, so they had to, how many Janeways showed up. There was some related cosplay that made me crack up. There was one lady who, if you just look at what she was wearing, you wouldn't know what it was, but it was meant to be like sort of like an Irish lady's, and she had this giant sign that said "The Deleted Wife."
Love that. So funny, hilarious.
That was wonderful. And then a couple of my friends, Eve England was there, and
Eve England. All right,
we finally met in person because we've been friends virtually for quite a while. And Emma Copeland, and you know what? I can be probably sitting here and listing a whole lot of people for, but some of my friends. I actually, Rebecca, she's actually American, but she does live in UK. So we had this very interesting. It's like we've never met in person again because she's in UK, but it was just. It's the fans that made the weekend. I'm gonna say that, like everything else sort of like became this wonderful thing on top. There are other things, discovering a different location. I've never actually stayed in this particular part of the city, the Docklands. So it was curious to sort of like find my way around, and it's rather interesting. I don't know if you ever been in that part, any one of you. So London Excel is quite away.
I've only
from
been to
center.
London, but nowhere outside of there. Hey, real quick though, Katie, we know you have to run for work.
Yes.
So you hop off, and thank you so much for playing with us. We'll see you soon.
Yes. Oh, thanks for having me. You guys are great. Love you guys.
Great seeing you.
Yes, bye.
So where in London is it? Because
it's London Excel. It's out in the Docklands. So that's the area that used to have major docks. And then my understanding is that the area has been rebuilt. So it's quite different right now. And it has a lot of venues of this sort. So London Excel is a giant convention center. So, I'm going to say, oh gosh, I tried to kind of 30 or 40 holes where you can assemble and do whatever, trade shows, conferences. As a matter of fact, as we were walking through, there was a veterinarian expo of some sort in one of the neighboring halls. London Excel was technically 4 halls, but they actually using only 2 of them for, one was a giant queuing hall, and the other one actually contained the all the vendors, the areas for the photo ops, the signing area, and in the opposite corners the theaters. I'm doing it like this because it was not a separate separate room. It's not a separate hall or conference, whatever. They literally just separated with giant curtains, and that's what it was. That was the stages for the Q&As and presentations. So so it was a little bit different because not only you're arriving to London and then you have central, like zone 1 center of London, then you have to kind of go on out to the east and finally reach this. So it basically, it was a little bit different. I think those people who have gone to DST previously, they kind of hoped that they will have some sort of like central location for parties and after convention hour get-togethers. People always find a way. They did. I think 2 or 3 hotels actually hosted parties in their respective restaurants after the hours. But we kind of stuck around. There were several really nice pubs right next to the convention center that had most of the people stopping by at some point. So yeah.
Wow. Did you get a lot of cool swag there? Because I know flying back from London, you don't want to take too much stuff, but
he's
got something right there.
Yes, I didn't buy anything precisely because, well, first of all, I will let you on a little secret. I always travel carry-on.
Oh, wow.
Which sort of serves as a self-limiting thing where I do not buy something that's too huge. But in this case, way back in October 2019 is when I started planning this particular convention. And of course, the world ended for a while. So the convention, the way it turned out to be this past weekend is not exactly what was originally planned. Again, there was supposed to be the huge Voyager celebration with the cast and everything. So my sister and I decided that we're going to splurge and we'll do one of the tiered package tickets, which in this case was Captain's. And so fun part, and then I'll show you what it's like. So you actually get the captain on your badge. And they kind of did the same thing. So the topmost layer is Admiral, and that was I searched for admirals just so I can see who's pictured, and it's Admiral Vance on it. The commander had actually 2 commanders. It had Commander Data and Commander Riker, and the lieutenant had Bolano on it. So it was very nice, very fitting, and as you can see, it actually has this little like a rainbow, like hologram effect. Yeah, very nicely done. And then with the tiered packages, you have different like little swag bags. One of them, and unfortunately, it's nowhere near me. It appears very nice. You know what? As I'm speaking, maybe I'll pull up a picture so I can actually brag about it. They had basically backpacks. A nice full-size backpack that you can use for whatever. Very nicely done. And it was filled with like little gifts. So all in all, you actually get a very decent swag bag as part of your package. And there it is. It says Delta Flyer on it and the flight crew. So it's actually the logo of the convention.
Wow, a backpack too. That's pretty good.
And then inside, because we were captain, we actually got a very nice one. So you get a hat, and you get a mug, and you get a nice pen. It actually has Ladies of Voyager on it, so Janeway and I was kind of hoping that some of these you can buy at the official merchandise table. A lot of these were not there. So hey,
exclusive items.
Now my you get some random stuff, Captain Proton, lanyard, and Joe Picard, what do you call it? That thing that you put under the drinks? Yes, coaster.
Nice.
Thank you. Some of this stuff, some pins, very nice. So like a nice little selection. My favorite was, and that was obviously specifically done with Voyager reunion in view. As a matter of fact, the artist himself, they have a beautiful like a mini poster of the entire cast, and like as I said, as a matter of fact, if you notice, it's all 10 of them. So it has
it has cast too.
And 7, yes.
Yeah.
And the artist was there, so you could stop by, talk to him about his art, what he would sign this for you for free. So all in all, lots of little, like as I said, lots of neat moments. And the whole weekend, actually, I had tremendous fun.
Hey, real quick, we do want to give a shout out to Mr. Glenn Iverson. He just did a comment where he said, "Hey, Chat Pack. Sorry, I've been so quiet. I've been listening, but I'm working on a project for work. This episode has been a blast to hear." So, Glenn, we hope you heard that. We just want to say hello. He's always great in the chat.
It's great.
Mohammed, have you ever been to Destination Star Trek?
I never have.
Me
No, I don't think
neither.
I've ever been to
Melissa?
any convention outside the U.S.
Yeah, I have.
Lisa's like, I have. No big deal. Whatever.
When it was in Germany and Birmingham.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was a
I
blast.
did enjoy the fact that, the Birmingham one felt a little bit more central because there was one main hotel that kind of hosted everyone. So, I can tell you in 2018, when I went to Destination last time, I sat in the lobby waiting to be checked in, to get my room. And I'm sitting there and that literally, okay. And Wilson Cruz just passed by and William Shatner just passed by.
Nice.
And you're just
all the
basically
Williams.
seeing, and I mean, I actually went up the elevator with a couple of actors this way during the weekend. So it was all a little bit more, but then again, Birmingham is out there. It's far more central for them. Yeah. Whereas once you bring it to London, it becomes more convenient for the international arrivals. Everybody gets into Heathrow or I don't know, any of the other airports that are nearby. I think there's another London airport that was very,
Gatwick?
very close by. We could hear the plane.
Oh.
Not Gatwick,
Not
something else near Docklands. So, so it's it's interesting. Next year they already announced the dates. They already announced that it's going to be again in London Excel. I mean, I'm presuming that this type of the location contracts usually come in like 3 to 5 year periods. So it's probably going to be in Excel for a bit. They already announced that William Shatner is going to be the headliner for next year. So those who are thinking about going, that's certainly something to consider. As a sort of general statement that I wanted to put out there, I've been to a lot of conventions, so my view on certain things may be becoming a little bit jaded. But for those who are looking at convention that if you've done a typical Comic-Con anywhere in the United States, if you've done STLV for many years, this is a somewhat different type because it's approached differently, it's done differently. You get somewhat different, like those who are used to conventions being held in hotels, for example, when everything is sort of like you just cross the corridor and there you are. That's what the giant conference rooms where you have all the panels and everything. This is done a little bit more like a Comic-Con when you have a large convention center and you have everything happening inside of a concrete and metal box, basically, whereas your hotel is out there elsewhere. Then you have to travel maybe a little bit.